Hiya! So another video really close to the last one because I got a bunch of books in that I ordered and I'm extremely excited. So I was very dangerous in discovering both the book depository and the book outlet, but especially the book outlet because I think I spent a little bit of what I'd gotten for Christmas in terms of money and bought a bunch of books. Anywho, moving on to the things I got from the book outlet. The first book in question is one that I've clearly already started to read, as you can tell by the little bookmark that's in here. This is The Somnambulist by Jonathan Barnes. It takes place in Victorian London. It's essentially a murder mystery, and our main character is a conjurer by the name of Edward Moon, who's sort of like called out of like almost retirement to help the police solve a series of really confounding and confronting murders. So I thought it sounded like a lot of fun, and it was ridiculously low priced, like everything I'm about to show you from the book outlet. And I really couldn't find this anywhere else, so I'm pretty excited. It started out pretty good, even though I'm only about 20 pages in. The next book I got is Star Climber by Kenneth Ogle. This is the story of a pilot in training by the name of Matt and his love interest Kate. They are considered experts on high altitude life forms, and they're about to get on this ship so they can literally rocket into the stars and study all these life forms. And on the way, getting ready to get on the ship, Matt is preparing to propose to Kate, and then she announces she's going to marry somebody else, which is so sad. But he kind of powers through this and they get on the ship, and apparently once they get out into space, they're surrounded by all sorts of life forms that they had anticipated, and they have mechanical failure and adventure and bad things and space and stars and pretty, and this cover was very pretty. I actually just realised from reading the cover that this is the sequel to Airborne and Skybreaker, neither of which I've read, but I'm really hoping I'll be able to read this and not have to worry about not having read the first two. The next two books I got are starts to two different series, and ones about which I've heard nothing but praise on BookTube, which is from anybody who's read them. So first is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This is the first book in the Lunar Chronicles, and these are retellings of classic fairy tales, Cinder obviously being Cinderella, and from what I've gathered she's an android or a cyborg or something, and I know that the second book, Scarlet, is Little Red Riding Hood, and then the third book, Cress, is coming out, and that's going to involve Rapunzel, and she's going to be like some hacker in a satellite or something. Again, I've heard nothing but praise for this series, and I've always been intrigued by it. I always thought the covers were really great, and so when I saw it on the book outlet for a ridiculously low price in paperback, I decided to pick it up. If I like this book, I would definitely go pick up Scarlet, and obviously if I like this and I like Scarlet, then I will be waiting to pick up Cress. Of course, they will all have to be in paperback because I got the first one in paperback and I want them to match. Okay, the next book I got in the start of a series is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is apparently some sort of fantasy adventure novel that's set in a kind of Russia, which I think is great. Any book I've ever read that's been set in Russia I've really enjoyed. I haven't read too many, admittedly, but I have liked the ones that I did read in Russia. From what I've gathered, our main character is sent to be trained to be part of the Grisha, which is this like magical elite led by this thing called the Darkling, and I've just heard really amazing things that it involves some really great mythology, and I'm extremely excited to read this one. If I like this, I will have to pick up the second book, which is Siege and Storm, I believe. Again, I would have to wait for it to be in paperback because I want them to match. But I have a feeling I'm really going to like this one. I've heard nothing but good things, and everything I've heard about it has made me just go, I need this book in my life. Why is this book not in my life? Alright, and the last two books that I got on the book outlet are part of a series. It's a trilogy. The third book wasn't on the book outlet, but that's okay, I've seen it, and thankfully I think it's in paperback. If it's not, I'll have to wait. But these two first are, I don't think they necessarily have a series title. If they do, I apologise, I don't know it. But it is Shadow Cry and Blackwatch, both by Jenna Burtonshaw. These are high fantasy adventure novels, and I'm a huge fan of high fantasy, and these books are really short and they look like they'll be easy but fun reads. And from what I've gathered, there's magic and life and death, and we're in Albion, which is another term for England, for those of you who don't know. It also means white. Fun fact. Yay for having studied Latin for 5 years. These looked incredibly fun, so I'm hoping I enjoy these, because then if I like Shadowcry and Blackwatch, I will get Winter Veil, which is the third book. Again, needs to be paperback because it needs to match. I mean, now I have a thing where I want my books all to match. Let me know if you've read any of these, especially the books that I got in the series, and if you've read the whole series and if you like the series, or if you happen to have read Star Climber or any of the other books in the series, and especially if you need to let me know if I need to read the first two before I go into this one, because I would hate to start it and then discover that I'm not going to have a clue as to what's going on. That'd be bad. But that's it from me tonight, so until next time, cheers. So literally since filming that sort of whole video, I got 3 to 4 more books. So I do kind of need to include them as part of this whole video. 3 of these I got from work, and then 1 of them I got on my Kindle. So the one I got on my Kindle is Into the Still Blue by Veronica Rossi. This is the last book in the Under the Never Sky trilogy, which is good because that means when I finish it I can do a series review on it. The next book that I got is The Warrior Heir by Cinda Williams Chima. As you can see, this is actually missing its front cover because it was a strip at work, and I've heard amazing things about this series, that it's a good kind of fantasy action story, a pitch perfect blend of high fantasy and small town reality. Basically everything that I love to read. But yes, I heard amazing things about this series, and I know this is the first book in it, so when I saw that it was in the strip piles and I could take it, I did. Next I have The Child Thief by Brahm. This is a very dark retelling of Peter Pan, and obviously Peter Pan is the child thief in question and is the boy, young man, person on the cover. Brahm is not only the author, but he also did all the beautiful illustrations. It's so pretty. More pretty. But yes, I'm a huge fan of Peter Pan retellings, especially ones that really make Peter Pan a darker character. I think it's kind of funny that I never really used to think of Peter Pan as that dark until I was actually watching Once Upon a Time, and the way that they used Peter Pan was they definitely made him a villain, and I happened to be talking to one of my younger brothers about it, and he always liked Peter Pan when he was a kid, and I said, oh my gosh, you know, the show Once Upon a Time, that, you know, they made Peter Pan the villain, they made him a lot of very nasty words that I applied to him, and my brother just looks at me and goes, well, Peter Pan was never exactly nice, and me, I'm going, what do you mean? He goes, well, think about it. He cut off a guy's hand, fed it to a crocodile, and then teased him about it for basically all eternity. Which of course made me go, oh yeah. I could have never really thought about how dark and twisted that is. But whatever the case, I saw this hold by somebody else on BookTube, and I loved the premise and the concept of it. So when I saw it at work, it was actually what's called due out, which meant we were going to send it back to the publisher, and I was not a huge fan of that idea because that meant I wouldn't be able to pick it up, and I'd been eyeing it for so long, so I went ahead and got it. And lastly, a book that I just picked up is Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. This is a fantasy adventure dark retelling of Beauty and the Beast. All the people I've seen on BookTube who got like advanced reads or review copies who read it were all really complimentary of it and pretty much generally seem to really like it. Beauty and the Beast is like one of my favourite fairy tales, both the original French and obviously all the various retellings of it, except for Beastly. We will not even go there. We will so not even go there. But outside of that, I'm a huge fan of Beauty and the Beast and retellings of it, so when I heard that this got really good reviews, I basically just had to go and get it. Okay, so that is truly the end of my book haul, I promise. So until next time, cheers you guys.